Well, a question. Your spiritual you isn't confined to the material body, is it? When you say I, where do you put it? Behind the eyes, in the chest? Somewhere in the folds of the brain? Point to it now. Fix it with a finger. Now, where am I? Am I here or here or here? No, no. You may touch a forehead, you will not touch the eye. You may thump a chest, you will not strike the eye. In him we live and move and have our being. If the being of you lives and moves and has its being in God, how should you stuff it into a rib cage? You can't leave the body because you aren't in it and never have been. Absent from the body and present with the Lord. This is not poetry. It is practice. It is the first no that opens the door. The meditation begins at the instant you stop trying to localize yourself as a point of flesh, not when the room is dim, not when the incense is right. In the moment you release the hunt for the I inside the body, you have already stepped into holy ground because you have refused a false god. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. The body is not a god. It is not a prison, not an enemy. It is an instrument, and a blessed one when it is not mistaken for the player. I am not in the physical. I am not in the physical. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Therefore, I do not need to imprison the I behind the eyes to be myself. You think you are a body trying to become spiritual? No. No. You are awareness witnessing a body passing through time. You are not location. You are presence. And when you release the habit of poking around in tissue to find yourself, you find rest. Be still and know that I am God. It does not say be tense and search. It does not say be clever and visualize. It says be still. Stillness is not a posture, it is a decision. And so we begin, not mystically, not occultly, not with manipulation, but with practicality, a chair you can forget, a time you do not dread, a silence that does not demand payment, no tricks, no breath counting to bully the lungs, no coloring of light in the head, simply a turning, just a turn toward the one who is already here. Now you will ask, what am I to feel? What am I to do with thoughts? I will not now take you into the method that comes as naturally as sitting and as unforced as an exhale, but I will give you the promise. There is a moment, call it a click, because language fails when the weight shifts, not in the spine, but in consciousness. The sea falls calm. The self stops reaching. Something announces itself, and it is not of your manufacture. I am careful to say this because the mind loves to perform and call its performance God. Do not perform. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. The click is recognized, never produced. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. You knock by ceasing to paw at the door. You remain desireless, and the opening is grace. So where are you, really? In the habit of centuries you have said, I am here, I am here, I am this beating and this blinking. Today you say, no, I am that I am, and that I am is not inside a skull. If you must have a picture, picture this, you wearing the body as a garment, as practical and as innocent as a coat on a winter day. You are not the coat. If a surgeon has looked in the coat and never once found the wearer, why do you keep looking there? Settle this first. No, and you will not strain again to be spiritual. You will sit once a day, not with ambition, but with permission, and the very refusal to stuff yourself into the body will be your opening prayer. My friends, the door is not far. It is as near as your next quiet breath that you do not manage. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Say it, and let the hunt end. The I you are cannot be located, but it can be known, and it is known in stillness, and so the practice begins. You ask now, If I am not in the physical, why speak of a chair and a time? Because mercy needs form and love is practical. There is no occult privilege in wood or upholstery. There is only the kindness of removing friction so attention can rest. Be still and know that I am God. It does not say be heroic and twist the body into an altar. It says be still. A chair is the mercy of stillness made repeatable. It ends the drama of postures, the heroics of the floor, the bargaining with knees and spine. It is specificity as kindness. Choose a seat you can forget so that you will not be dragged into a wrestling match with your own bones. When the body is quiet and uncomplaining, you do not have to think about it. And that is all we are after, less body noise, more receptivity. There is no power in posture. There is only less interference. Once a day. Why? To free you from the whip of ambition and to call you to a consecration that does not bargain. Give us this day our daily bread, not tomorrow's bread today and not today's bread in 20 pieces. One portion, one appointment, one faithful turning. I am not asking you to cram God into your calendar. I am inviting you to consecrate a single window in which you do not use God, you do not demand God, you do not explain God, you consent. A daily appointment is not an achievement badge. It is a vow that saves you from scurrying. It ends the breathless catching up of the soul and says, this day belongs to the Lord. I am present. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. If it is the Lord's day, then it is enough to meet him once with an undivided heart. Do not mistake the form for the force. The chair and the schedule are not rules of power. They are protections against strain. If you attempt this 10, 12 times a day because you are afraid or greedy for light, you will turn prayer into labor and the soul into a timekeeper. That is not worship. Take no thought for your life, is the counsel. Take no thought for your spirituality either, not in the sense of adding up sittings like coins or measuring the silence with a yardstick. Once a day breaks the fever. It trains the heart to trust that God is the actor and I am the instrument. Therefore, I need not pound the keys all afternoon to make a hymn. One clean note sung daily in surrender will carry farther than a day of shouting. And the chair, do not make it sacred by ornament. Make it sacred by forgetting it. There is no electricity in the angle of the knees, no mystic lever behind the shoulder blades. In comfort, with eyes closed, you become virtually unaware of having a body, and then you can keep the one commandment that begins all prayer. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. To worship the ache as if it were a message, to adore the tingles as if they were angels, this is to have other gods. Let comfort dissolve the idols of sensation. Let it remove the temptation to manipulate breath, to color lights, to summon visions. We are not here for fireworks. We are here for God. Desireless receptivity is the sanctuary. It is not a tool to get help or money or applause. It is the laying down of tools. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. For years now I have kept this single daily tryst, no heroics, no spectacle, and I have found that the click comes on its own terms, its own hour, or not at all that day. I do not coax, I do not sulk, I show up. I sit in mercy, not might. I refuse to make a law of posture or a superstition of the clock. I give God the clean gift of attention once, and I let the rest of the day be lived in the afterglow of that consent. If more silence rises in the hours, it is grace repeating itself, not me repeating a technique. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Therefore, the chair is enough. Therefore, once is enough. And in that enoughness, strain falls away, and presence has room to announce itself. Set the seat like an altar, which is to say, set it so well that it disappears. An altar is holy not because it is ornate, but because nothing on it quarrels with worship. Your chair will be the same. Place it where your feet can touch the floor without reaching and without dangling. Flat, friendly, unambitious. Let the knees be at ease, neither forced higher than the hips nor locked down like a soldier at attention. The spine easy, not slack, not braced, like a reed that knows the wind, not a post hammered into the earth. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Set yourself in that ease so that the body, satisfied, releases you from its chatter. If the seat is too high, the thighs will complain. If too low, the lower back will argue all the while. So be kind. A folded towel beneath if you must, a small cushion at the low back if it brings quiet. There is no occult virtue here, only the mercy of comfort, against a wall or with the chair set firm so there is no wobble. This is not a throne, it is a place you forget. In this arrangement, you are not suppressing the body and you are not worshiping it. You are allowing the instrument to be tuned and then put out of mind. I am not in the physical. The body is the instrument. God is the music. Now, the arms and hands never brace. When you press the forearms down into the chair arms, you recruit the shoulders into vigilance, and vigilance is not silence. Rest the forearms lightly if there are arms on your chair, as if a bird could land there and not startle. Or let the hands lie on the thighs, unclasped, ungathered, not a project to be solved, palms open or turned down, either way, unimportant. Do not make meaning out of the angle of a thumb. When the hands stop asking to be something, the heart finds it easier to be nothing but receptive. Let all the earth keep silence before him. Let even the little earth of the knuckles keep silence. The head balances on its axis without display. Not tipped back to court visions, not tucked down to drill into yourself, level like a cup to be filled. The eyes closed gently, not squeezed, not propped. The jaw unhooks. You know what it is to unhook a door from its latch? Let the jaw do that. Lips meet softly, or part a little if that is their way when unobserved. The tongue lies where it falls, where no one is coaching it, no roof pressing, no ritual, breathing, natural, no counting, no pulling the air like a rope. If a sigh comes, let it come. If it is quiet as a cat in the next room, let it be so. You are not the bellows maker. You are not trying to blow yourself into God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still even in the breath. Do you see the pattern? Every place the body could become a project, we remove the project, because projects keep you in yourself, and we are not interested in spiritual self-occupation. The goal of this arrangement is simple. In this position, with your eyes closed, you become virtually unaware of having a body, not by denial, never by denial, but by comfort. You make peace with the form so that form can fall silent. It is like tuning a violin before the concert. Tighten here, loosen there, not to play the tuner all night, but so that when the musician lifts the bow, the instrument will not intrude. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. If warmth helps, a light shawl. If shoes on or off matters, choose what yields the most forgetting, not a ceremony kindness. Turn the phone to silence, not for piety, but so that you will not be asked to choose between a ring and a revelation. When the seat is set like this, you will find that you do not have to fight yourself. Thought is not spending its coins on knees and shoulders and breath. It is free to be attentive without effort, receptive without plan. This is the whole secret of the physical side of prayer. Arrange the body so well that you can forget it without fighting it. Then the first commandment can be kept in practice. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, not the God of the stiff neck, not the God of the tingling hand, not the God of the anxious breath. And now, seated so, do not congratulate the posture. Forget it. Let it be the silent road by which you are carried out of the noise of flesh thought into the awareness that has no edges. If you notice the body again, Adjust without drama and return like a mother pulling a blanket over a sleeping child quietly without conversation. Then back to the altar that has disappeared. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. In that sufficiency, the instrument rests and the musician is free. Now that the altar has disappeared, let us speak of the holy refusal, for this is where most devout minds stumble. You are seated, you are quiet, and immediately the old operator picks up the levers. Let us see a light. Let us paint a sun in the forehead. Let us push the breath here, count it there. Let us affirm prosperity, health, wisdom, until the heavens answer like a clerk behind a counter. No, no, that is not prayer. That is spiritualized self-manipulation. The quickest way into silence is to stop doing spirituality to yourself, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. If it is by the Spirit, then it cannot be by your performing mind. So we declare what will not be done. No imaging of light to pull God down as if he were color. No affirming in order to get something, for that in order to is the tail that wags the dog of ego. No manipulating of the breath as if the bellows could forge the presence. No hunting for experiences. No listening for inner fireworks. No leaning forward to catch a whisper you think you deserve. Take no thought for your life includes take no thought for your spirituality. Every method adopted for a result tightens the fist of the personal doer, and the doer is the veil. The veil is not sin in the fiery sense. It is simply interference, like static on a line. You quiet the static by ceasing to transmit. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. Let this be the inner posture. The instrument does not tune itself while the musician plays. It rests ready, supple, surrendered. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. Not speak, Lord, for thy servant is busy producing vibration. The first commandment protects us at this very point. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. A technique held as a secret lever is a God before God. Refuse it. Refuse even the sweetness of a vision if it asks you to keep it or chase it. We are not here for experiences. We are here for God. You will feel the mind drift toward doing. It will start fixing tomorrow's meeting, rewriting today's conversation, composing noble prayers for the world. Holy as it sounds, it is the same operator changing masks. When you catch it, do not argue. Do not condemn. Simply say quietly, like the turning of a doorknob, no, no. Let the word fall through you twice, and with it let go of the handle. Then return to the bare willingness that needs nothing. If you must have a word to keep you from words, let it be this. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not my thinking, not my imaging. Thy grace. A businessman once wrote, I sat and forced a column of gold light from head to toe, and my chest burned like a furnace. He called it zeal. It was effort. The deals did not loosen. The nights did not soften. In the second week, he grew tired of managing God and said, if there is a God, let him be God. I will sit and do nothing. He sat with that holy refusal, and in the quiet he heard nothing spectacular at all, only the absence of his voice. That afternoon the phone rang from an unexpected quarter, and what had been bolted shut opened as if no one had been pushing. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. He had been battering. Then he knocked once by his turning and waited without demand. The opening was grace. Understand why this refusal is love. If you arrive with a plan, you cannot receive the presence. You can only compare it to your plan. If you arrive with a hunger to possess, you cannot be possessed by God. Let the fingerprints of self be missing from this hour. Sit and let the earth keep silence before him, even the little earth of your cleverness. If a thought rises to practice on you, smile at it and answer, no, no. Then place yourself again, wordlessly, in the hands that already hold you. In my conscious oneness with God, I find I do not have to reach for anything. I do not have to brighten the room behind my eyes. I do not have to manufacture breath, meaning, or motion. I rest. I yield. And in that yielding, the air clears, not an achievement, not a trance, only an absence of interference in which the actor may act. Be still, and know that I am God. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And so we keep the boundary not as deprivation, but as the door itself. No, no, here I am, Lord. Now enter, not with hunger, not with bargaining, with a single gentle turning. Speak, Father, thy servant heareth. This is not a plea. It is not a shopping list whispered into the invisible. It is a posture of openness, an inner door set on its hinges, unlocked, unforced. You knock once by turning toward God, and you wait by refusing to demand an answer. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. The knocking is your consent. The opening is not your doing. Let the intention be one, not 10 aims, not 5 improvements. One, seek God. Not peace as a commodity, not clarity as a trophy, not a better tomorrow, not even holiness as a possession. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. If you seek God for goods, God becomes a method. The method becomes a God. And the first commandment is bruised. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. So the heart says, here I am. I am not seeking to be improved. I am seeking to be met. Not my will, but thine. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Do not make waiting a vacancy. It is not a blank. It is a consent. Something in you leans back into God as a branch leans back into its vine. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Waiting is not sloth. It is active surrender, a poised listening without negotiation. If I say, speak, Lord, and then reach for the levers to make the speaking happen, I have turned listening into labor. No, no. Lay down the levers. Let the cup stand still to be filled. The instrument is tuned. It does not pluck its own strings to summon the musician. Now mind noise will come, because minds make noise as kettles make steam. Thoughts will try on costumes, useful plans, tender memories, urgent anxieties, even noble prayers for others. Let them pass as birds crossing the open sky. Do not chase, do not clap, do not count them. If one entangles you before you know it, do not scold. Simply notice and say inwardly, no, no. Then return to the bare willingness. Speak, Father, thy servant heareth. If a word keeps you from words, let it be this. Dropped once like a pebble in a pond. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not repeated to force result, only to rest the tongue of the heart and free it from asking. If you feel yourself waiting for an answer, you are already asking. Notice it. Smile. Loosen the hand that had closed around expectation. Be present without appetite. Be attentive without project. This is the holy arithmetic. One turning, no tally. You cannot miss what is omnipresent, but you can obscure it by measuring. So stand within as one stands before a door already opening, respectful, unhurried, without peeking past the threshold to judge the furniture of heaven. Remember who waits, not a body clutching a body's future. I am not in the physical. I am not a point behind the eyes trying to hear across a wall. I am awareness yielded to presence, absent from the body, present with the Lord. In that identity, Waiting becomes natural rather than forced. Breathing goes on of itself. The heart goes on of itself. Thought weaves and unwinds, and beneath, before, within, the readiness remains. Here I am. If a softness gathers, do not praise it. If nothing at all seems to gather, do not fault it. Waiting has no scoreboard. The very stance is its own obedience, its own prayer. Be it unto me according to thy word. In my conscious oneness with God, I find I do not have to summon God. I find I do not have to brighten, quiet, or heal. I consent. I yield the reins of sense and result and let the actor act. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thus we knock with a single turn, and thus we wait without asking until grace in its hour announces itself. There is a moment when the air within, without wind, without sound, quiets of itself. Not because you lulled it, not because you engineered a silence, but because something that is not you, yet is your very life, has taken its place at the center. The push in you ceases. The watcher is no longer leaning forward. You will not be able to say, I did it. You will only know, it is done unto me. It is the Spirit that quickeneth. The sign is not spectacle, it is a settling. The reed that was tremulous stands still without being held. A certainty appears that contains no reasons. You do not think God is here. You are met. I and my Father are one, no longer a sentence, but a fact, too quiet to argue and too whole to improve. Do not look for a glow. Do not expect tears. Emotion may come another day, but it is not the measure. Often it is calm, almost plain, like a room made ready and nothing placed in it but presence. The peace does not rise from your chest like a personal mood. It rests upon and within you like weather that has settled. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, means exactly this. The mind cannot measure it because the mind did not produce it. No, you are not enthused, you are established. You are not inflated, you are found. The heart does not clutch. It loosens its fingers and discovers it had been held all along. How will you know? Because you are not trying to meditate anymore. Meditation is happening. The prayer is praying you. The stillness is stilling you. The breath, which you had set free from your management, now seems to be breathed by another, and yet not another, for in this very instant separation ceases to be a problem. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works, not by might, not by your concentration, not by your posture, by his indwelling. The strain to remain attentive is gone because attention has been gathered into presence. Thoughts may pass, but they do not recruit you. Sensations may continue, but they do not interpret themselves through you. You rest as if on a current that moves without eddy or effort. This is union known, not imagined. You are not thinking about being with God. You are not looking at God from across a table of ideas. You are within God and God within you, and the knowledge carries no edges. In him we live and move and have our being. You feel the sentence relieve itself of distance. Absent from the body, present with the Lord, you find that the body has truly gone out of focus without your pushing it away. What remains is a quality of here that does not compete with anywhere, a fullness that does not have to be big. If a word comes, it is usually small and finished. Yes, or thank you, or simply I. Not the little I of a person, the I that is, I am. There is authority in it, but not the sort that commands. It does not want to do. It finds the doing already contained. If a thought of keeping it arises, hold on to this, keep this smile. No. The very nature of this click is that it is God's, and what is God sustains itself. You do not maintain the sun to have daylight. You do not maintain grace to have grace. If it stays by being itself. If it ebbs, it leaves no lack, only the knowledge that you have been met and can be met again without bargaining. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Even the wish to certify it evaporates, because the certainty is self-evident and needs no witness. Let me say it as plainly as a sign at a crossroads, so you cannot mistake the way. When the click comes, you are not performing, you are consenting, you are not projecting, you are receiving. You are not advancing, you are home. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea, and in this instant the sentence ceases to be doctrine and becomes the weather of your own awareness. You will not use it to get anything. You will not parade it. You will sit in it as one sits in a chair that holds without creak. Recognized, not achieved, grace has announced itself. And from that announcement the day will unfold of itself. For God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. If nothing seems to happen today, do not promote nothing to a verdict. Do not hold court at the end of your sitting to decide whether you are spiritual or dull, whether God showed up or stayed away. No, no. That is the old shopkeeper counting coins after hours and mistaking the register for the living business. The life of the Spirit is not in the tally. The kingdom of God is as if a man should cast seed into the ground and should sleep and rise night and day, and the seed should spring and grow up. He knoweth not how. He knoweth not how. Your measuring is an attempt to know how. Lay it down. This nothing you are tempted to despise is often purification. The personal sense wants fireworks, and when the sky stays plain, it scowls and says, nothing happened. But Elijah did not find God in the wind or the earthquake or the fire. It was a still, small voice. Simplicity is not absence, it is purity. Silence is not failure, it is the removal of static. When the appetite for spectacle falls quiet, the ear fit for spirit awakens. You may call that nothing. I call it making room. I am not in the physical. I am not in the theater of sensation hunting for a show. Absent from the body, present with the Lord, I consent to be met in the plainness of God. What then is your exact response on a day without weather? Remain the full allotted time in quiet receptivity. Do not shorten the sitting because the mind feels unentertained. Do not lengthen it in hope that effort will buy a dividend. Keep your appointment as you would keep watch by a friend's bedside faithfully, without fuss, without glancing at the clock. Do not add techniques to force a sensation. No imaging, no breath gymnastics, no holy busy work. If the measuring mind rises, how deep am I? How still am I? Answer softly, no, no. Then return to the simple stance. Speak, Father, thy servant heareth. If a single word steadies you, let it be dropped once like a stone that sinks out of sight. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. You may say, but is this not waste? Never. You do not waste a field by letting it lie fallow. You restore it. You do not waste a well by letting the silt settle. You clarify it. The refusal to measure is the settling of the well. The practice matures the moment you stop using experience as your scoreboard. When the need to score abates, receptivity becomes clean, and the door that had been opened by knocking is not banged upon between glances at the watch. Be still and know that I am God. Be still even in your evaluations. Knowledge appears where scoring ceases. Perseverance, then, is not strain. It is fidelity. Once a day means you return tomorrow without resentment and without bargaining. No pouting at God because yesterday was plain. No vow to do double time because you felt dry. Give us this day our daily bread. Today's bread is enough for today, And when you receive none, you can weigh or taste, trust that the life which feeds you is not in short supply. I have never found that complaint hastens grace. I have found that quiet consent prepares the soil for rain, and that rain comes in its season without my storm making. Remember who practices. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. The instrument does not audit the musician. It keeps itself tuned and present. If there is no melody heard by the mind this morning, let the strings rest without muttering. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea, whether felt as sweetness today or hidden like yeast in the dough, till the whole was leavened. So you rise from the chair untroubled, neither inflated by yesterday's glow nor deflated by today's quiet. You go about your day in the same obedience with which you sat, no using, no demanding, no scorekeeping. And if nothing happens today, nothing has been lost, only the habit of measuring. Thus the discipline holds. Thus the heart is steadied. Thus the practice ripens beyond experiences into trust. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Now we must speak with weight, because the silence you are learning is not a toy. It is not a private workshop in which to shape outcomes for your pleasure or your pain. There is a law here, impersonal, inexorable, like mathematics. 2 times 2 is 4. You may dislike it, but you cannot bend it without bringing the consequences of your bending upon your own head. Build a bridge and ignore the load calculations, and you have not punished the principle, you have broken yourself against it. As ye sow, so shall ye reap. Spiritual law is just this, impartial. It does not become your servant because you sit in a holy chair. No, no. It is the very governance of God, revealing itself as harmony when obeyed and as chastening when violated. Therefore, hear this double-edged warning as protection, not as threat. Never attempt to use your meditation to dominate, seduce, punish, or mentally influence any person, project, or event. No, never. Do not send thoughts. Do not project images to bend another's will. Do not withdraw your love to make someone feel you're cold. Do not pick up the silence like a hammer to settle a score. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Forbids making a god of your desire, your fear, or your grievance. And the second commandment, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, is not a religious ornament. It is a law of harmony. Violate it, and the very current you hope to harness turns inevitably and corrects the one who presumed. Understand why this is so. When you enter silence with a personal agenda, you are not entering God, you are entering yourself armed with quiet. Quiet does not sanctify control. The ego does not become holy because it whispers. If you attempt to bend another life, you have already knelt to a false god, your will, and in that idolatry you step outside the shelter of the one law. With what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. The instrument used to harm is held by the hand that is harmed first. This is not superstition. It is the straight mechanics of spirit. There can be no selfish purpose in a cosmic law. Try to drive love as if it were a team of horses, and you will find yourself dragged by reins you thought you held. Hear the scripture, hammer this home. Whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law. Put up again thy sword into his place. For all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Substitute mental sword for steel, and you have the truth for our day. The law is not sentimental. It is exact. If you cast nets of thought to capture another, you entangle your own feet first. If you dig a pit of subtle suggestion, you design its depth for yourself. He that diggeth a pit shall fall therein. This is not punishment by a person, it is consequence under principle. So let your safety be your purity. Come to the chair only to yield. If even a pious-looking impulse arises, let me help them by fixing them in thought. Answer softly, no, no. You are not the fixer. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. In my conscious oneness with God, my neighbor is included, not as a target, but as a fellow member of the same life. If guidance is to appear, it will not be a scheme to move people on your board. It will be the love that dissolves the board. If a word for another is given, it will be blessing, never steering, release, never tether. Make this practical. As you set the seat like an altar, sterilize the intention as a surgeon sterilizes the instrument. A stain of self on the blade and the patient is endangered. A stain of self in the silence and your own receptivity is dulled. Ethics are not an add-on. They are the cleanliness that lets spirit flow without infection. The clearer the motive, the deeper and safer the receptivity. If a desire to use appears, use the silence, use the peace, use the presence, recognize the trespass at the gate and refuse entry. No, no. Then return to the single consent. Speak, Father, thy servant heareth. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. I am not in the physical. I am not a mind in a skull trafficking in influence. Absent from the body, present with the Lord, I stand within. Law that frees, not law that binds. I and my Father are one, and in that oneness I cannot take from you because I lack nothing, and I cannot harm you because love is the life of both. Let this be the seal upon the practice and the hedge around it. Silence is not a tool for the ego. It is the surrender of ego to God. Keep that covenant, and the same law that corrects presumption will carry you in sweetness. Break it, and you will feel the correction swiftly, not as wrath, but as mercy, steering you back to the only safety there is, one God and love. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Where are you, really? If I touch the chest and say, I am here, who is the one that notices the pressure of the hand? If I point to the forehead and say, I am behind these eyes, who is the one that sees even that pointing? The body is seen, therefore it cannot be the seer. No surgeon has ever yet found any me inside of a body. He may open the skull and find a brain. He may open the chest and find a heart. He may catalog every nerve and vessel, but no instrument has brought forth the I that says, I am. When I say I, how are you going to localize that? Now, where am I? Here or here? No, no. I am not in the physical. I am not in the physical. This is not denial of the body. It is the simple release of confinement to it. Let us be exact. The body is a temple. Let it be kept decent and useful. But you are not the temple's marble. You are the life that answers to God as light answers to the sun. In him we live and move and have our being. If the body aches, tend it. If it hungers, feed it. If it tires, let it rest. But do not accept the verdict that your identity rises and falls with its tide. You cannot leave the body because you are not in it and never have been in it. You can only loosen the hypnosis that says your I is lodged in flesh. That loosening is not escape. It is right placement. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. The instrument has weight and strings and wood. The music is not in the wood. Now see how the click reinterprets selfhood. When grace announces itself, you do not feel like a small person peeking through a keyhole toward a great deity in the next room. The peeking stops. You are awareness discovering its source. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. You are not trying to reach God. You are found within God and God within you. The sense of distance dissolves without your pushing it, and the eye that had wrapped itself around fear and effort loosens, as if a hand that had clenched for years suddenly opens. You are not lifted into trance, you are restored to naturalness. I and my Father are one ceases to be aspiration and becomes recognition, quiet, matter of fact, grounded. This recognition changes the street you walk. If I am not a body trying to secure a future for a body, then the day does not threaten me with its swings. Competition begins to look foolish, because the spiritual I cannot be deprived by your gain, nor enriched by your loss. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I do not need what you have to be complete. I do not need to defend what I have to remain whole. The grasping hand that once hurried through the marketplace learns to rest. Anxiety loses its leverage, for conditions outside no longer dictate the truth inside. Storms may rise, but he maketh me to lie down in green pastures, and I find the pasture is within presence, not outside in weather. Do not mistake this for disinterest in life. On the contrary, when you are not barricaded inside a body sense, you are more available to life. You can sit in a meeting and feel no need to dominate, and therefore the one wise word you are given comes unforced. You can stand by a sickbed and not contract into pity, and therefore compassion can flow without fear. You can drive in traffic and not tighten like a knot, and therefore your seeing remains clear and kind. You do not project yourself across town to help a friend. No. You abide as presence, and the same life that abides in you abides in them, and in that one life help appears in its own right way. Often it will look perfectly ordinary. The right call at the right time, the quiet thought to send a meal, the sudden softening of a long-held grievance. None of it is magic. All of it is the naturalness of presence when you are not fussing to be a person who produces results. Absent from the body and present with the Lord. Let that sentence become your inner posture through the day. Not a trance, not a lofty remove, simply a loosening of the insistence that I am here and God is there. Be in the kitchen, present with the Lord. Be at your desk, present with the Lord. Be in sorrow, present with the Lord. You will discover that presence is not an event. It is the way life is when the eye is not cramped inside skin. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Therefore, I need not take, I need not fear, I need not compete. I stand in sufficiency because I stand in God. Say it until the words go thin, and the fact remains. I am not in the physical. I am not in the physical. I am Spirit's awareness of itself, using a body for a season as an instrument of blessing. And because this is so, presence becomes natural rather than extraordinary. It meets you in the commonplace and makes the commonplace radiant with quiet certainty. Be still and know that I am God. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Now watch how grace proves itself. You rise from the chair, and the first evidence is not a halo. It is the quiet disappearance of reach. The hand that used to close around the day loosens without being told. The eyes that used to weigh and compare stop their scanning. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Want as a posture softens, and because want softens, taking loses its policy. The click proves itself by this. You do not need from your neighbor to be. You do not extract warmth to stay warm. You do not harvest praise to remain real. Love seeketh not her own. Not because you are heroic, but because you have discovered sufficiency at its source. When I want nothing from you and you want nothing from me, where is the tinder for quarrel? Envy has no job, suspicion retires. Competition, which is fear in a sports coat, has nothing to prove. This is not sentiment. It is mechanics. Fire needs fuel. Remove the fuel, and even a spark becomes harmless. From whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence, even of your lusts? Remove lust craving dressed up as need, and the inner war ends, and with it the outer skirmishes that grew from it. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Therefore your good is not my loss, and my blessing does not diminish your store. We begin to move like members of one body that no longer bite each other, because the life of the body is one. Life, let it become practical. You enter a room where once you would have angled for position. Now you listen, not as a strategy, but as natural breathing. You speak what is given, or you keep silence if nothing is given, and either way you are at ease. In the market you no longer buy fear or sell pressure. You trade in honesty because there is nothing to hide and nothing to hoard. At home the wish to correct everyone into your image fades. You find yourself blessing the difference, not to be tolerant, but because love has no need to win. A soft answer turneth away wrath. Softness is no longer a tactic. It is the pressure of sufficiency coming through the voice. Hear the litany that follows the click, and let it be your inner climate. In my oneness with God, I find completeness. In my oneness with God, I find security. In my oneness with God, I find peace. In my oneness with God, I find guidance. In my oneness with God, I find supply. In my oneness with God, I find companionship. In my oneness with God, I find joy that does not ask permission of circumstance. Say it until the saying falls away and the fact remains. The source is within, not exterior. Therefore, the itch to take quiets without scolding. All that I have is thine, and when that is heard, the quarrel with life relaxes its grip. Service, then, ceases to be a project and becomes overflow. Freely ye have received, freely give. You do not serve to be holy. Holiness expresses as gentleness, honesty, restraint. You do not rush to fix people. You become a place where they are not used. You do not advise to feel needed. You stand receptive, and if a word is given, it will be blessing, not steering. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. The instrument does not force a song into the room. It stays tuned, and music plays when it will. Sometimes service is a word, sometimes a silence, sometimes the ordinary decency of meeting a gaze without agenda. Small things grow large in the light of non-taking. Do not think this will make you passive. It will make you clean. Power that is not mixed with hunger is safe. Influence without agenda is health. Presence without demand becomes cooperation wherever you stand, because the law of love, not the law of getting, is operating. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself no longer lives on a plaque. It becomes the way your feet go, because the self you love is the life that lives in all. Absent from the body, present with the Lord, you meet your neighbor not as an object in space, but as a fellow appearing of the one eye. No. You do not take, you do not need to, so the day simplifies. You pass through your tasks with an unhurried sufficiency. Where old reflexes of grasping twitch, you answer from the chair within. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. I need not take, I cannot lack. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And the proof walks beside you in the street. Peace that does not bargain, kindness that does not count, generosity that is not a performance. Presence becomes cooperation, and cooperation becomes the ordinary dress of love. When the allotted time is complete, do not spring from the chair as if rescued from a duty. No. Let the close be as gentle as the beginning. Open the eyes softly, as if allowing light to arrive rather than grabbing it. Keep the hands where they are a moment longer. Let the breath finish the cycle it is in. Sit for the space of a few quiet heartbeats and notice that you are not stepping out of holiness into ordinary, you are carrying ordinary into holiness. Be still and know that I am God. Do not make a ceremony of it, make it clean. Then stand without hurry and let the first movements of the day proceed as if you were still in the chair. Before you rise, speak the password, not as magic, not as leverage, but as consent. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Say it slowly enough that the words stop being words. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Do not repeat it to get, repeat it to yield. It is the one knock you give before you let the door of the mind be shut again to clamor. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you, and when it opens, do not peer inside with plans. Let this password be your yes to God's already yes. It will go with you into the washing of a cup, into the signing of a letter, into the quiet of a hallway. When fear rises, do not fight. Answer once, Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, and then proceed in the work at hand. Now the surrender that undergirds all doing. Live thou my life, fulfill thyself in me. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor and the doer and the beer. I am merely the instrument. The Father within me, he doeth the works. I am not in the physical. I do not cram the eye into bone. Absent from the body, present with the Lord, I let presence be the mover and the measure. I and my Father are one, spoken not as ambition, but as fact. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Therefore, as I go from this chair, I do not go from God, nor does God come and go from me. I go as the instrument through which the music plays in, its own time, its own way, for its own purpose. Make one quiet vow and keep it without fanfare. Tomorrow, the same chair, the same hour if you can, the same simplicity, the same refusal to do spirituality to yourself, the same desireless receptivity. Do not improve upon it. Do not garnish it with holy inventions. No, no. Return and sit. Knock once by turning toward God, and wait without asking for a sign. If nothing can be measured, be content. The seed should spring and grow up, he knoweth not how. In this fidelity, the click that sometimes seems to come and go is recognized as what never truly departed. Lo, I am with you always. Presence was present. Your noticing learned to rest. Rise now, but do not abandon the softness with which you sat. Let speech be gentle and accurate. Let the hands work without grab. Where the mind would rush, answer with a password and slow by an inch. Where old fear taps you on the shoulder, decline its errand and whisper, Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. If you lie down at night and discover you hurried the whole day, do not rehearse failure. Lay your head in the same consent with which you began. Live thou my life, fulfill thyself in me. I am merely the instrument. End as you began, not with effort, but with consent. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And with that, the practice is sealed for this day, not closed off, but carried. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. I thank you, I consent, and I go